I'm going to need you to pitch me a Christmas film right pissing here and now.
Oh, Christ. So Nicolas Cage. And
Fuck yeah. 5 stars.
He's a mall manager, and he's got to make Christmas really special for young Macaulay Culkin, who's our age, but he's young in this. You just have to picture it. And he's like,
he's a young man.
Yeah, because the thing is, his whole story is that he never had a good Christmas as a kid because his parents were
leaving him alone in houses and
dicks,
getting attacked by Joe Pesci. Yeah,
exactly. So he never really had that. He's also a bad kid, and his brother was was he in Green Room? No, he was in Blue Ruin, I think, briefly.
Yeah, he was in Blue Ruin, which is very upsetting for a kid.
There's a whole lot of exactly. There's a lot of shit going on there. So he's like, please, Nick Cage, mall manager, I just want to meet Santa for once, for once in my fucking life. And Nick Cage says, well, I have no choice but to hire Keanu Reeves to be that Father Christmas.
Well, unfortunately, Paul Blart is around, and he's going to fuck up this entire situation. He's besieging the mall, and there's nothing left now but for Keanu Reeves and Nick Cage and Macaulay Culkin to try and defend themselves against the cast of Paul Blart Mallnart. All
of them. Even Neil McDonough's there for some reason. And
whose side is he on?
We're 2 hours 45 minutes into the movie at this stage, Paul. Like, what's the third act going to be? I tell you.
It's like Lawrence of Arabia.
I tell you. There's not going to be a third act, Paul. There's going to be a second film. And that's going to come out Christmas 2021.
Part 2, Battle of the 5 Malls.
So you have to wait for that next year.
Fuck yeah, I'd wait for that. It'd be an annual Christmas tradition to put up waiting for that.
It'd be the one tradition we have.
After Brexit. Yeah. I can't believe no deal means we lose Christmas.
Yeah. Keeping the bananas, though.
You liking your banana, Timmy? Who knew?
Your festive banana.
Who knew that Santa Claus was Romanian? It all makes sense if you think about it, because he kept on giving.
Bananas.
Yo, it's your boy, Santa Claus, and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that comes down the chimney annually, but in the sense that we yearly ejaculate into a fireplace.
Yeah, as per tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, tradition. I'm actually Paul Salt.
Really? Because I'm Father Christmas.
Time. No!
And you know nothing of my work.
Boy, don't you wish real life were like this. Are you actually, though, mate?
Who am I actually, or who's Tim Allen, actually? Because I want to know. That's the question I want to ask.
Merry December 1st, everyone.
Yeah, I'm Paul Goodman.
It's time. Oh, Merry! It's a Christmas miracle.
Who did it?
It's
sincerity.
It's time to turn your lives and all your money over to the rituals and societal expectations of the most wonderful time of the year.
And the rich.
We're a few weeks off from our yearly Christmas ep, but we had a 6-episode going spare.
No.
So we thought we might as well talk about one of the most bizarre film genres out there, the Christmas film.
Yeah.
This Christmas, Scott Calvin's getting into the spirit, the only way he can.
Every holiday season, there's one toy everyone has to have.
Is getting it.
When the McAllister family left on their Christmas vacation, they forgot one small thing. A New York cop, John McLean, has come to see his wife.
What is they? Why is they? What makes a good one, they? And what are?
And what am us?
What am us? And what are some of the weirder Christmas rituals around? Us, right now.
They.
Find out here.
In they.
So, Paul, you Yule log.
Doobie-boo, I'm a Yule log, everyone. Check me out.
That's good banter. What's the one thing about Christmas that makes you like the fact that it's Christmas sometimes? Not all the time.
Oh, I absolutely love getting presents, Paul. And I know.
Oh, it's great.
Nice people out there, Ned included, love to buy presents for people. They love to give them out and to improve people's lives and show that she's been thinking of them. And I love getting all the presents to know that people have been thinking about me, and it's lovely.
It is lovely. It can be a bit of a power play to be the nail in any given situation. To be like, look, I got you this because I'm so thoughtful. I got you this, and you fucking love it. And that just says a lot about me, doesn't it? And how great I am.
Yeah.
But then you're just there oblivious, like, yeah, great, love it.
Yeah, love it. And you got me a
Do you like
mince
your
pie.
bin wrap?
Yeah.
It's a bin cozy.
For, when you do the bins. Because I've been paying a lot of attention this year. I made a note that said, you take out the bins.
And you always look so unhappy doing it, so I thought...
How can I improve that
What could be better?
situation? Yeah. No, look, lift it up. It plays wicked games. I don't know. I was trying to think of a bin-related song.
I've... Not enough. It's a hole in the genre.
My Old Man's a Dustman. There we go.
There you go.
Plays My Old Man's
it plays
a Dustman.
I Will Always Love You, so that you'll know that. And feel it every time you take the bins out.
It's not a Whitney original, though. It's...
You're a Whitney
fucking
original.
wicked games? I don't know. I can't...
What's happening with you? Jesus Christ. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's a really fun aspect of it. I enjoy both. I like giving gifts and I like receiving gifts, obviously. It's all good stuff. Although, as an adult, I am now the sort of tragic human being who will buy stuff for themselves because I like the delayed gratification of it. For example, roughly 3 feet behind me is a PlayStation 5 with Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I'm not getting that out or hooking it up until Christmas morning because I want to recreate the joy that I had when I was a young lad in 2013 when we got the PS4, and before that when I was an even younger lad. When Dad got me a PS2 back in 2001. Yeah, it was great. It was the best Christmas morning ever. And sometimes I think a big part... I don't know, I do love Christmas in general. Sometimes it does feel like you're just sort of trying to recreate precious memories when you were a kid. Which can be fun. It can be fun to sort of recapture the magic and the wonder, of childhood.
Yeah.
There are downsides to that. In as much as, the downside to any kind of nostalgic thinking, it can make you, or having a rose-tinted view of the past, is it can make you think that things aren't good now. That good times are behind you and that you can't get them again. You can only sort of create pale facsimiles of them through, nostalgia.
Yeah.
But, that's not the case. The key to that is to remember there were shit parts of your childhood Christmases. They weren't perfect. There were bad bits. Just as there are now, and that new things, new traditions, can be just as fun as the old ones. And maybe next year, this year's Christmas is the one you're going to be trying to recreate.
Yeah. Look, I remember Christmas as a kid. It probably means that was just the best time, and the rest of the time just wasn't as fun. To be fair, as a teenager, I just mostly stayed up till 2 a.m. on MSN Messenger.
Fuck, that was good though.
Trying to get validation from attractive teenage girls.
I've never heard nudes described as validation before. Interesting nickname.
You see, it's a clever trick, Paul. I should be a bloody spin doctor.
Hey babe, validate me. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I do it.
Yeah, because of the language. You see, kids stay in school.
Because of the attitude.
Yeah.
It's only when you're a teenager you're dumb enough to be confident.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Thank God. But yeah, no, I have real vivid memories of Christmas as a teenager. Most of it was just listening to whatever music I got on the day, playing whatever video game I'd got on, and eating all the chocolate that I had.
That's a big thing.
Specifically, the one I always go to is a Christmas that I got a Finch album and a Thursday album, and I got a Tony Hawk's
Oh, fuck yeah.
skater game.
That's the most 2000 story I've ever heard.
Yeah, I know. So it would go between the Tony Hawk soundtrack, 2 seminal emo albums from the early noughties, and then Belgian chocolates.
Weird shit can be tangled up into Christmas traditions. I remember very specifically the Christmas that I got Onimusha 2, which is a very good Onimusha game. And I played it immediately. And there was a Max Payne 2 another year. And so these games feel very Christmassy because, yeah, I remember the excitement of sort of loading them up on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. You play whatever you've gotten, and that can lead to some very odd associations.
And tradition and nostalgia are just so intertwined.
Oh yeah, definitely.
By definition.
Yeah, and that's what really interests me, because obviously when we're going to talk about Christmas movies, we'll be talking about some large Christmas traditions and such, but I'll be interested in getting into the weird shit. The stuff that really has absolutely nothing to do with Christmas, but you just find yourself associating mentally with Christmas through just absolute happenstance.
Yeah, such as Finch's What It Is to Burn.
Because sometimes you have really fond memories chasing down nostalgia, but other times you just think, fuck it, I'll just do this because it's around. Like, I remember the last day in the flat last year before I went home for Christmas, I found myself playing XCOM 2 and listening to every episode of Till Death Do Us Blood. Now, those are two things I did not have in my childhood, and yet I remember just being utterly content in that moment doing those two things. I remember just being absolutely as happy as I could possibly have been. And now, maybe this year I'll try and do that just before Christmas in an attempt to remember just how fucking golden that moment was. But yeah, I think you can go too far in chasing down. I remember at one stage in my early 20s, I would have a playlist of all the movies I had to watch that Christmas, and I would miserably just cycle through them, trying to get enough of them into a day to actually finish the list. And it's like, that's not the way to go.
Just glumly massaging your sad, flaccid penis, just wondering why you do this.
No, neither of us are into this anymore. Me, Russell Crowe, nobody is enjoying this. What Russell Crowe film is he watching at Christmas? You'll be amazed.
See, this is interesting because coming into this episode, we were trying to discuss, what angle to approach this from.
Yeah.
And we have different ideas of, whilst wanking. And we have very different ideas of, Christmas traditions and the idea of doing certain things at Christmas. And it might belie how the order with which we approach our separate lives.
I mean, what's an average Christmas for you now? Last year, what are you looking at this year? I can say for me, it's broadly the same. I'm still in my little family unit, we'll probably open presents in our front room like we've done every year since I was about 8 when we stopped going to Grandma's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tradition hasn't changed much. Every so often, different people come and go from it, but that's essentially what we'll be doing. We'll wake up, open up stockings, which will contain little chocolate treats in them.
Yeah.
We'll put on VH1 or Magic, whichever one is showing, Christmas, whichever one doesn't have adverts on it at that particular moment, so we can have Slade singing whilst we open up the presents. And that's every year. And then Mum goes to the kitchen to do something really long and boring in order to produce a meal that no one likes, really. Whilst the rest of us play with toys.
Yeah.
And that's tradition.
True. I mean, that side of tradition is generally the same. It changes somewhat. My parents got divorced when I was 13, and I'm fine. I'm over it now. But I'm
not angry anymore. Honest.
No, not at that anyway. But but up until that point, it was it was the same thing every year, and then after that, it was one Christmas at my dad's, one at my mum's.
Okay.
And now I live in Australia.
And they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, they can all just burn. But but here before COVID anyway, the idea was 1 year here with Nell's family, 1 year in sunny Northampton, dodging bottles. And so yeah, I mean, it definitely changes more for me. Every year I'll be doing something different to the year before.
Yeah,
but it's more about I guess for me, my nostalgia doesn't drive me to seeking out doing the same things. I can remember certain things fondly, and I do definitely have that nostalgia and that regret that's inherent in there of, it'll never be as good as that Christmas I spent wallowing in a breakup listening to My Chemical Romance. God, that was a highlight. But such is the power of nostalgia and memory.
How does it forget that Doghead happened to you?
Yeah, I know. It's everything I've done, everything I say and pretend isn't me is actually definitely me. Even when I'm
still got that guy in the basement.
I still have him, and he's a policeman. You thought somebody would have noticed by now, but
nobody has. Broken Britain.
He was one of the good ones.
It's
But yeah, no, there's a whole bunch of things I love about Christmas and things that I associate with Christmases growing up, and I don't know if we're going to have a time to talk about this or have a chance to talk about it, but for example, stand-up DVDs.
Oh man, when do we talk about that? Because
part of it.
You're right. Every year, I love listening to Bill Bailey's first couple, Cosmic Jam, Part Troll, and there's the one in between, Bewilderness? Something like that.
Maybe.
It's yeah. I watch those every year at Christmas. Those are very much associated for me. I remember getting a couple of Lee Evans videos for Christmas growing up, which was always a highlight.
Whereas for me, it's more when I'm with my family, it's whichever one has been bought for my dad. We'll put that on. So it's, for a long time, it was just Lee Evans would bring one out every year.
Yeah.
And suddenly he was on DVD and playing at Wembley. And and there was Mickey Flanagan one year and, Michael McIntyre. It was your roadshow type comedians. Everyone's got their best joke and they use it in this one at the end and everyone cheers. But it's just lovely. Everybody's sitting together. Yeah, everyone's sitting around. And my dad and I have wildly varying tastes in movies and comedies.
Right.
Half of the movies that we do for this podcast, he will go, no, I quite like that. It's pretty good. Or, that was very good. And incidentally, you're not my son anymore. But I'm
choosing Paul Blart over you.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do. But but when we're all sitting down in front of a stand-up DVD at Christmas, I guess there's unity there, and there is memory. There are good memories there, but it's something we can all enjoy.
A couple of other notes on why I do enjoy Christmas so much. Part of it is I love the aesthetic of it. I love the fact that really it's about contextualizing a historically very bleak time of year in a celebratory way, because all the crops die. And there's snow everywhere. Yeah. And that beautiful scene outside is the reason you're hungry right now, for ancestral humans. And so it's nice, the idea of taking... It would be like if we still lived with dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs came out once a year to just eat some of us. And so every year we make it Dinosaur Day.
Yeah.
Yay! It's like...
Thankful for the dinosaurs and their ongoing existence.
Decorate the festive T-Rex. Hang a few more viscera from its fangs.
Quickly now. Sidestep, footwork.
Like your daddy taught you before he got crippled. It's a way of...
Before he got eaten by 3 T-Rex.
T-Rex is the plural of T-Rex, and I love it. It's, it's...
T-Rox.
T-Ry. It's... it's just a way of making a very bleak time of year, which is still bleak. People get seasonal what's it called? Seasonal...
Affective
disorder, that's the one. And they get very down, and Christmas can be a part of that, because again, the expectation, and I find this more so with New Year than Christmas, the expectation is to have a good time. So if you're in a bad place or not really, having a good time, it can really heighten that. And be a kind of focal point for how the shortcomings that you perceive in your life. And that's a problem with it. And, depression and all sorts of other things are very high around Christmas, which is an issue. But I don't know, you can also take it in the sense of it just being, a time of year where you section off various... It's like its own little culture, there are movies and TV shows and other things that you just don't do at other times around the year. And you kind of put a fence around them and say, stay out of here except for once a year. And it just makes everything inside of that little fenced area just a little bit special. Even the deeply cynical advertising that's thrown at us, all the time, suddenly has a slightly festive bent to it. And it just, even though it's stunningly mundane and even oppressive, suddenly it's something a bit special.
Yeah. Everyone loves the John Lewis ads.
They love them.
They love being sold to in a special way.
Sold to by a dying high street. You seen Amazon's Christmas ad? That's probably a thing. I was going for
It's
humor
just
there,
the live cam of their sweatshops. by which I mean warehouses in the UK.
Where they put festive hats on everyone. Oh boy.
Whilst they continue to breach COVID regulations.
Is that claymation? No, those people are dying.
They really do look like that. It's strange here for me having Christmas in summer. It's lovely because we all get to just sit in the garden and drink beer and wear shorts.
I can't stand it.
It just looked really weird when I did that in the UK.
They didn't accept it or like it.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back as far as my family were concerned.
As far as the UK was concerned. And that was the day they tore up my passport.
That was the day they kicked my raft out onto the channel. Said, make your fortune elsewhere, scamp. I really love that, but on the flip side, we've just been through winter,
right,
during COVID, and there was nothing in the middle of it. It was just winter.
Yes,
and Melbourne does have winter still, so it was cold, and we don't have heating. We don't have heating right in the same way that the UK does.
I see. It's like Britain when it snows. It's like, what the fuck
exactly.
is this? What's happening?
We've only had hundreds of years to deal with this. Why hasn't anyone made like one change?
That's an interesting point, because the thing about summer is that it's summer. So you don't really need a focal point to celebrate.
Right.
You just celebrate not being freezing or dying.
Yeah.
And be happy about that. I think that's kind of why you need Christmas in the middle of the bleakest period of the year. And why Australians should move Christmas to June 25th.
I'd be up for it. I guess I see the utility of Christmas in summer is to distract you from all the spiders. And actually, when instead of wrapping up our presents, we find all the spiders, put them in boxes, and wrap them up, and then we bury them, and then we just give each other the present. So it does have.
We give each other a high five.
Yeah. Sick Christmas this year.
Best one yet. I don't know. I think I just like cold weather in general. Like today was really misty and foggy, and there was kind of crunchy pavements, and just a lot of mist everywhere, and you can see your breath. And I kind of like that, and I don't think it's just because I associate it with Christmas drawing near.
Yeah, okay.
I think I do quite enjoy, a bit of winter. Having said that, it is a major pain because you have to spend a lot of money on not freezing to death.
And you don't want to do that, so you kind of your hand is forced, isn't it?
To be separated from the piece of metal you just touched. Yeah. It's unfortunate when you're living Frostpunk, but food or fuel, decide now. Okay, so I think it's good to explore our sort of attitudes towards Christmas, because I think it's going to feed into our discussion about Christmas films and the kind of Christmas films we like. We've talked a little about the significance of traditions and what they mean to us. They can be a good way of sort of connecting with whatever it is that Christmas really means to you. And we'll come across some of those meanings when we talk about some of these films. So, let's get on to movies.
Okay.
Now, in talking about Christmas films, and I saw this come up in the OG team.
Oh.
There was a discussion had, and I hate it when they interact with each other. They should only be interacting with us.
Because they'll realise that their opinions are worth as much as ours.
You interact with us, and we'll decide which of your opinions is worthy of being fed back to everyone else. That is how it works. But
it's the only reason we did a podcast.
Validate us, by which, we mean news. The discussion was setting versus theme, I think is the way to put it.
Yes.
So you've got movies that treat Christmas as the setting where it's going to take place, and movies that are about Christmas. And
yes.
There's a bit of a dismissive nature to some of the comments in our lovely OG team.
With a bit of festive gatekeeping.
A little bit of, tussling. A little bit of dueling.
Yeah.
Amongst cineasts. Which is a wonderful image I just put in my head.
On guard.
Mark Kermode strides into the arena. Atop his black steed. So,
Put me
let's
down,
talk...
Christopher.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about movies that use Christmas as setting.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the merits, or lack thereof, of such movies.
Now,
I have
as
a
feeling
action movie...
I'm going to prefer these movies to actual Christmas movies.
Let's find out. So, the first one that sprang to mind is Shane Black, because for some fucking reason, that man insists on setting all of his movies at Christmas, except The Predator, I think. And has never yet tied it in.
No, that's interesting. Weird. He works best with a time frame in mind, and Christmas is the only one that he knows.
It's the only one he's found out yet.
Don't know the others.
The original Lethal Weapon is set at Christmas, and it's in California. It's in LA, I think. So it has that weird quality of being, looking like the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And then there's a Christmas tree. And I think the one reference to Christmas is when Gary Busey is going around the house with a gun looking for our hero's family. And, that's it. It was Scrooge is on the TV going, "Boy, do you know what time it is?" And Gary Busey shoots the TV and says, "It's goddamn Christmas!" And that's it for references to Christmas.
He's so traditional.
So there's that, and there's also Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is a movie I really like.
Nice
and
Guys
The
is
Long
Christmas
Goodnight.
as well.
Oh, yep, Nice Guys, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Long Kiss Goodnight.
Nell's been trying to get me to watch it for ages, and I want to,
good.
I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
That's Shane Black as well, and then
Ah.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is Robert Downey Jr. fucking return to power after his rehab, and where he invents the kind of nervous energy Tony Stark thing that came to define him.
Yes.
And also, who else
Val
is in
Kilmer?
that movie? That's Val Kilmer. Yes, career best Val Kilmer.
Yeah, God.
As Gapery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good film, and that's a sort of neo noir thing. But again, the only thing about it that's Christmassy is the bit that at some point they force Rachel Monaghan. Yeah, she spends a scandalously large amount of the film in a sexy Santa's elf costume. Is the only connection to Christmas that movie really has.
Yeah.
So it's odd. It's odd that he keeps doing it. It's not necessarily. It's I think been a part of my Christmas tradition just because it can feel a bit odd to watch it at other times. He's also responsible for the only Christmas set Marvel movie, so far as I'm aware, in Iron Man 3.
Oh, he did do it for that as well.
Yeah, that was also Christmas. Maybe he just likes the aesthetic.
Yeah, maybe.
You do get sort of frosty suburban America, with the snow kind of thing, except for the ones he sets in LA. Very odd.
Yeah, I can only think that it offers a tone that you don't get with anything else, or it just he knows that it triggers nostalgia in people, so it's going to burrow its way into the sort of the love center of your brain.
It's a clever marketing strategy. People are going to be going to the Prince Charles Cinema every year to see your movies at Christmas. The Apartment is a movie I absolutely love.
Yeah, okay, I haven't seen that.
It's Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, and it's about a guy who is he's well known in his company because people know that they can go to his place to use it as a den for affairs.
Oh, okay.
So all the corporate guys, it's a Billy Wilder film.
Cool.
So all the corporate guys are just using his apartment for sex, and it's about what happens when this starts to involve the Shirley MacLaine character, who he's a bit fond of.
Okay.
And it all comes to a head. But again, it's just not really about Christmas. It's only about Christmas in as much as another reason I like Christmas so much is because it represents the end of the year.
Yeah, okay.
There's a sense of closure to it. There's a sense of finality. Like, the Christmas break is the period you build to.
Yeah.
Because as people, I think we'd go mad if we didn't break our lives into years.
Yeah.
You've got to have a sense of beginning and ending to things. And life, you don't really get to know when it's beginning or when it's ending.
No.
So you break it up into little bits, and there's this promise, this idea that you can start afresh in the new year and do new things and put behind you anything that went wrong last year.
Yeah, you're right. I think we like to make sense of things, and we like to put things in categories, and it's how we understand things.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a smart move. Whoever did that, I'm going to say David Blaine.
David Blaine, Thank you for creating the calendar and years. It's brilliant. God, you really are magic.
God, yeah. Wizard. I don't know. I guess it also being the major holiday for the Western world.
Yes.
At least it is an obvious go-to for someone who wants to make a film around a meaningful time of year. With Shane Black, when every film is that, then you have to probe that, and it's not. It can't just be about that, or maybe it is, and it works well enough to be the sort of background for different movies, but it's the obvious go-to. I think, unless you do it for the director's birthday, which no one else is going to be able to relate to,
understand or care about.
Yeah,
and I think with the Apartment and with things like that, it's just about getting close to the end of a year and putting a sort of timeline on it, because there's a whole, I can't remember what it is, but there's a whole ticking clock around New Year that comes in. Yeah. So I think that's also part of the drive to set things at Christmas. In Bruges is set at Christmas, which is
oh god.
Remember the film production they're doing? There's like Christmas trees around, and there's a Christmas aspect to it, but again, that is just not a film that's about Christmas, but it does, by being set at Christmas, a big part of that movie is about naivety and innocence, and the boy in question, which represents innocence lost on behalf of this assassin. There's something to it in that respect of setting it to contrast against Christmas, and that's something I'll actually come back to in a moment.
Yeah, okay.
Batman Returns.
Yeah, God.
Set at Christmas. Very odd, and again, I think with that, you could pretty much guarantee that for Tim Burton, it was an aesthetic decision. It's like, how do I make my movie different from the last one? Make it the Christmas Batman movie, and it does work. I mean, I revisited Batman Returns a few years ago, actually, and did find it was a lot weaker than I remembered it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was really sad to discover this, but it's like, wow, this movie keeps picking up plot lines and then just throwing them away. It's
okay.
like, let's do this for a bit, and now we're stopping that. And now this.
Now that's that.
And now that's that. And it's like, okay, let's smear Batman. No, we're not going to do that anymore. Let's have Penguin be mayor. Oh, it didn't really work.
Huh.
And it's just, there's like 10 of those.
Wow, okay.
It's very strange. It's a strangely structured film, and the action scenes aren't quite as up to task as I'd have hoped, and that some of the dialogue scenes are quite silly.
Yeah,
but there are
right.
still moments that really stand out. I really like a lot of the Bruce Wayne, Selena Kyle stuff. I remember as being really, really good. Okay, how about one more? Carol is set at
Yes,
Christmas.
okay.
And it's actually showing at the Prince Charles this year, if cinemas are able to be fillable. Wonderful movie, which just happens to be set at Christmas. And Christmas is the inciting action.
Yes.
Yeah, it starts off at Christmas, and with our main characters meeting because one works in a store,
Yeah.
and the other, needs to buy something, and so that kind of kicks it
Yeah.
off. And it has a sumptuously gorgeous opening sequence set in a department store at Christmas. Just Rooney Mara in that Christmas hat is just iconic, I think, to that film.
Yeah, it was so nice. I remember that guy in front of us was taking photographs of the movie.
That was during a scene in which they were shopping for Christmas trees. So
Yeah, great.
he just loves it. He just loves Christmas, and that's why he was
Very
here. He hates lesbians, though. So
Yeah, he'd cover his phone camera and just scream until the women got off the screen, didn't he? It's horrible.
he got the camera out again
Horrible man.
for the Carter Burwell music.
Okay, so compare that to the Home Alones. Home Alone 2, for example.
Yeah.
Which is really, a lot of the stuff that happens isn't anything to do with Christmas. Christmas is an inciting incident, and he does go shopping in a mall, and they talk about Christmas for a bit.
Yeah, and Donald Trump is in it.
Donald Trump's in it, so obviously it's very Christmassy.
Yeah, quite Christmassy.
Yeah, very festive. But it's still not a Christmas movie in the way that Elf is, for example.
It's interesting you should mention Elf. I am about to come on to Elf.
Okay.
Because, yeah, we can talk now. This would be more useful to, I think, look at films that I think there is an argument to be made that it is about Christmas, or an aspect of Christmas.
Yeah, okay.
And let's start with Elf. Jon Favreau's Elf, starring Will Ferrell in one of his 5 performances I like.
Yeah.
5 might be generous.
I'd give him 5.
I'd give him 5.
I'd give
There's
him
probably
6,
5
Paul.
out there. There's probably a bunch I haven't seen, to be honest. How is Step Brothers?
I'm not a fan, but
Okay.
that he did Everything Must Go and Stranger Than Fiction, which
There you
are a
go.
couple of more serious things, and they're really great. He's great in them. You got
I like
Zoolander,
Anchorman.
you got Anchorman,
Yeah.
got Elf, which for me is a film, a 3-star film. I don't.
Okay.
It's fine. I get really embarrassed at the
I-
end when they all start singing, but Will Ferrell's really good in it.
That's interesting. I do enjoy Elf quite a bit, and I do watch it a lot of the
Yeah.
time around Christmas. And yes, there are aspects of it which are very cringy, I will admit.
Good.
And for me, that film I think qualifies as a film about Christmas because it's about wonder. Aside from it
Yeah.
just being, plot-wise about literally the mythology of Christmas, thematically it's Mary Poppins essentially. It's about an old man, an old
Merry
James
Christmas, Poppins.
Caan style man, an old James Caan style horrible man.
Yeah. Playing Donald
he has
Trump.
He has business meetings with Peter Dinklage. It's awful. He's a horrible man, and he's forgotten his sense of wonder, and he's forgotten the idea of magic and love and all the other cliched bullshit.
It's like Santa Claus the movie. It's the same. Like, I mean, a lot of Christmas movies are about that. I suppose it's about being cynical and forgetting about family and
and remember wonderfulness and joy and
Yes.
nostalgia and connecting to it, and suddenly deciding that yes, we should go fly a kite, sing at Santa, and or whatever happens in the Santa Claus, and
murder John Lithgow.
murder John Lithgow. It's wonderful. Yeah, so that's Elf. It's about the wonder of reconnecting with wonder, and you're right, that is a common theme. Now, I remember one of the sassy comments left was that person considered, I can't remember who it was now, I'm afraid, considered It's a Wonderful Life to not be about Christmas. It's just a movie set at Christmas.
Okay.
I would argue otherwise, inasmuch as that is a movie inherently about self-worth and gratitude, most importantly. For anyone who hasn't seen it, I highly recommend it. I love It's a Wonderful Life. And it is a part of my usual Christmas watching when I can find time for it. It's it's just a wonderful story about a guy who loses hope.
Yeah.
And who loses any sense of proportion in terms of his own value. He becomes to believe that he's worthless, that he has wasted his life, and sets about taking his life. And then through a sort of intervention from a mysterious force, which is another very common Christmas theme, is a little bit of supernatural stuff gets involved, he is shown the value of his life. In small ways, he has touched the lives of people around him, not by, any extraordinary deeds, although he has done some fairly extraordinary deeds, like, preventing the run on the bank and such.
Yeah.
He has succeeded. He's told that life has meaning not because of the great things he's done, but because he has been himself consistently through his life. He has been George Bailey, and that touched the lives of the people around him. It's a movie about gratitude, and I think a lot of Christmas movies are ultimately about gratitude. He suddenly realizes that he's very grateful for the life he has lived, and for the contributions he's gotten to make to his society, and for the way generally life has gone and the people around him.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, essentially it's, a Christmas Carol, kind of. It's just, he's very down on his life, and suddenly it gets pointed out to him that
I would say
life can be great if you just look at it differently.
And as you were saying earlier, the expectations around Christmas, it does actually lead to an increase in suicide.
It does,
the season. So there are those similarities there. It's still strikingly modern, that, but it's also Christmas could be considered the inciting incident.
Yes, because you have that wonderful scene where he comes home. Yeah, everything's Christmassy. There's Christmas decorations up, and Bailey's just miserable because he knows about the lost money, and he thinks that this is pretty much the end for him. And his daughter is practicing that tune on the piano, and he ends up snapping at her, and everybody just wants to talk about Christmas and be happy, and he's just carrying this burden, which I think, especially at the time, and still today, but we're talking about it more, is a thing that men just thought they had to do. Don't bring work home, just shoulder it yourself. And George finds, like so many people do, that he can't.
Yeah.
He can't just shoulder it on his own. And, it drives him to suicide.
It's very Christmassy. No, but it also is, sadly. But but then all throughout is this, this idea of those expectations and the traditions of the holiday and what he should be doing, and when everything is okay at the end and he does get to go and be with his family. Yeah, it's a classic Christmas resolution.
Yeah.
Where everybody is reminded of the values of the season, and the audience are in turn reminded of the values of the season, as was I when you took me to see it one Christmas.
Best Christmas ever. You cried all the way through, especially on the way in.
Yeah, there's different reasons though. Yeah. Especially on the way in.
Yeah, and he saves his wife. He saves his wife from the horrors of being unmarried, which shouldn't happen to any woman. Being
an old crone, a spinster.
A horrible woman with her own interests and goals.
No, thank you, sir.
Since we mentioned it, we might as well talk about the various incarnations of A Christmas Carol, including the Muppet one. Clearly the best one. Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's got Michael Caine and Muppets.
It's got Michael fucking Caine. He's going to talk to you about Christmas. What about...
Needs a cunt in Scrooge, mate.
What about Tiny Tim? It's
Tiny Tim, come here, you cunt. What day is it?
You already asked the other boy outside your window. I don't want to know about him. I want to know what day you think it is.
Soppy bollocks.
But that's a movie that's about generosity of spirit.
Yeah.
It's about the joy of being generous. Scrooge as a miser. He's, it's a Dickens story, so it very much plays into his own sort of social commentary things that he wanted to say, which was very much, against poverty. And part of it was fuck the Tories, eat the Tories is essentially Dickens' Dickens' approach to things, and that's fair. And so, yeah, Christmas Carol just generally is about the joy of giving, which I guess is also could be said of Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas, but in different ways.
Yeah, in definitely different ways. Fuck, what a crazy film.
Crazy, wonderful film.
Such a different person for having seen that.
I'll never be the same again. So yeah, that's Christmas Carol. It's about the idea that at Christmas you can be more generous, and people generally are. You know, charity donations go up, and you know, you get into the slight absurdity of it, where it's like, oh, I can't afford my usual donations and such. I've spent too much money on Barbies for my husband. What's this reality?
Dolls or grills?
Grills. Fuck, I forgot you're an Aussie now. Throw a shrimp on the Barbie, throw a shrimp on the Barbie, throw a shrimp on the Barbie. Why do you have so many Barbies?
And only 4 shrimps.
Why are they all only large enough to accommodate a shrimp? Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, so that's Christmas Carol. It's about give at Christmas. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation. This National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation was the only film I could think of where it's about family. It's about how horrible your family is and how much you don't want to spend time with them at Christmas. And the sheer horror of it. And yet also it's good because your family's your family and you love them, really. Yeah. Actually, deep down.
Don't you?
It's more common to see that in television shows. I can't think of too many films that are about that, but then I imagine a lot of the non-action related ones are. Is this what the holiday is about? Write in.
Please. We're looking for scripts.
So that's another meaning. So these are all just meanings of Christmas that we're accumulating here. The wonder of a child, gratitude, family, generosity of spirit.
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
Is interestingly, I think, a film about someone not getting what Christmas is about. Jack Skellington, you know, loves the aesthetic. He loves how it looks, and he's just bored of, you know, his everyday life, which for him is living in Halloween Town. It's kind of like the story of a goth who falls in love with Christmas, and it's kind of lovely for that. It's
wants to appropriate it to fit their worldview.
Yeah, and tries to have a go and fails miserably. That's so fucking Tim Burton. And a lot of his early career before he decided to just do whatever the fuck you would describe now as was about weird outsiders trying to earn approval and failing. And Jack Skellington, tries to get into Christmas, but totally doesn't get the idea of it, which is... Although I don't know, because I've put that the meaning, like, here is, like, giving, the joy of giving, but he does give. He just gives badly. He gives snakes and horrible things that he doesn't realise kids don't like. So,
he's a man with a dream, and he's trying to make a difference. Yeah, it's just the wrong kind of dream and difference.
Yeah, I think in terms of a real movie about the joy of giving, I think you'd look at something like For Christmas, which is a movie about, you know, ultimately about family in the end, because that's what the, you know, the foreground stuff is about, but also about just the joy that can come from, you know, just the right present, giving to someone who really needs it. You know, something really lovely in that, and that's what that's about. Nightmare Before Christmas, a little harder to place. At its worst, I would say it was more about stick to your lane. But I don't think so. I think it's generally a good thing that Skellington nearly ruined Christmas.
It almost feels like it's an antidote to the Grinch. It's an outsider trying to take Christmas for himself, but rather than steal it, giving it out in a terrible way. It's very similar to Christmas with the Cranks when you think about it, which I now love.
Well, that brings us on to the third category for me. There are movies that are... Die Hard. There are movies that are Christmas as setting, in name only, and there are movies that are about Christmas. In between, I think, but leaning more towards the Christmassy side of things, movies that are deliberate subversions of Christmas.
Yes.
Movies that deliberately try and use Christmas in order to tell stories that are not the sort of stories you would normally tell at Christmas. Now, I have not seen Bad Santa. Have you?
No.
Shit.
No.
That looks like an important talking point for this category. Because that looks exactly like that's trying to do. It's trying to tell a shocking, kind of gross out, I think, just kind of dark comedy, whilst using Christmas as a setting in order to heighten the unpleasant qualities of its main character.
And I think the first one was fairly well reviewed, right?
I think so. Yeah, and then It's just about that character, again, just learning the true meaning of Christmas, as some of these do. Gremlins is a movie that has very little to do with Christmas, but by being a schlocky monster movie with, little bits of violence and chaos and, stuff like that, and setting it at Christmas, you kind of contrast said violence and B-movie quality against the idea of Christmas.
Yes.
And therefore, the effect is heightened. And that, I think, and is why we've put off talking for so long, is Die Hard. I think, because there's so much debate around whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Some will say it's just set at Christmas. Others will try and justify why it's a Christmas movie. Mark Kermode's fond of this.
Yeah.
I would say, I think it is a Christmas movie in as much as it is set at Christmas in order to kind of add a level of, what do you call it? What's incongruity, I guess, to the action that's happening. When John McClane has just beaten the living shit out of a terrorist and killed him by chucking him down a staircase, and then suddenly he sees a little Christmas tableau and smiles to himself, that's funny. It's funny, the idea that this is all happening at Christmas.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And the ho ho ho, wrapping paper he straps to his back is,
He says ho ho ho, what more do you want?
Yeah, now I have a machine gun. It's
classic Christmas line.
Classic Christmas line. And yes, I do appreciate Die Hard being around at Christmas. It offers a lovely little bit of change from other Christmas movies.
Yeah, for sure. It's also, I think, my dad's favourite film. So it's
rightly so.
Yeah, so there's another sort of avenue of commonality there between us, which is really nice. I'd refer you back to him liking many Adam Sandler films. All of the people, I'm looking at all of our despicable OG teams who are saying that it's not a Christmas movie, and I guess if your view of a Christmas movie is something that happens at Christmas, that is about Christmas, and that everything happens is about Christmas, and Santa Claus shows up. Oh, even Santa Claus shows up in Die Hard. He's got a machine gun.
That was Santa. He killed him.
It depends how hard line you want to be on what makes it a Christmas movie, but I think we're both pretty much Foucault at this point. All life is meaningless, so why is Die Hard not a Christmas movie?
Yeah, it depends on what the significance you want to attach to it being a Christmas movie is. If it aids the discussion that's being had about Christmas movies to the one that we've just had about what is the meaning of Christmas and how does it manifest on film, yes, maybe you want to move Die Hard out because it doesn't have much to say in that regard.
But he's still coming home to see family.
Yes,
and,
it's about
and
family.
You could see the whole...
It's about gratitude.
The whole thing is... Yeah, well, the whole thing is it helps him to reassess his relationship to his wife, his estranged wife and family.
Yeah, who is called Holly, after all.
Yeah, who is called Holly. Ho, ho, ho. Kiss me on the mistletoe.
Yeah.
Gennaro. And there was all of that in quotation marks. It's on the data bank in Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah.
It doesn't even fit on the screen, stupid 90s. But it does... The film, the experience that McClane goes through serves the same function as a Christmas revelation in other Christmas movies. So there's that parallel as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think so. It's fun. It's...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a journey that he has to go on, I guess. It's like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which I think is a Thanksgiving movie, if I remember correctly. It's the journey that he then goes on in order to get to Christmas. At the end of the line is a happy Christmas for John McClane and his family, and it's also very in keeping with its sort of all-American, chest-pumping, slightly conservative agenda that movie has of just, traditional dad, sweaty t-shirt wearing, no sock wearing dad rescues his wife from from the perils of a successul career.
No socks.
No socks even. He's such a redneck dad.
How establishment.
No, he's... Oh, yeah, I suppose he is. Well, he's traditional American values is the no-socks-wearing hick that is John McClane. It's
hipsters and their thick socks, irremovable socks.
The hipsters are the fucking terrorists, but definitely. Did you see the blonde one with the glasses? He listens.
Oh, who wears that?
He listens to Europop to this day. So... if you're just talking about movies that are legit to watch at Christmas, I'm about to demonstrate in a bit when we quickfire that that's really a fucking broad category.
Yeah.
And can be down to many different things. So, it depends on what the context is. But I certainly don't think you should be trying to gatekeep or say that Die Hard is this or not that. You know.
Yeah.
Depends on the context. Why does it matter?
I'm not attached to Christmas movies in the same way that a lot of people seem to be. So I don't care. I'm very, very happy to consider Die Hard a Christmas movie, because I would watch it at Christmas.
Yeah. Watch it anytime.
You know, if asked to choose a Christmas movie, it'd usually just be Die Hard. So it doesn't bother me to have this film genred or misgenred, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if it was stopping someone, if someone was just sticking to Die Hard and they weren't seeing some of my favourite Christmas films, insisting that they've seen enough, I think that's it, is people assume often that there is limited scope within public awareness, and that everything has to vie for a place. And if Die Hard is here, it means that Holiday Inn can't be. And it's just it's bigger than that. It's huger than that. The world is made of 7 billion people, and there's a good chunk of them that love Die Hard, and there's a very big chunk of them that love Holiday Inn. And, you know, there's no threat from one group to the other. Both can coexist.
No.
And maybe watch each other's movies. I enjoy Holiday Inn and Die Hard.
It reminds me of when I was a teenager getting into metal and going... I have this vivid memory of being on a forum and saying, yeah, I love, you know, heavier stuff like Slipknot, and the response from most of the people was, Slipknot isn't heavy. Yeah. You should try Cradle of Filth. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry for liking the genre. Thanks for stifling me there. Which is not to say that people saying Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie have the same like shitty scoffing voice that I just did. Yeah. That's my own problem that I'm working through. But
with this knife,
it's a similar sort of stop enjoying your Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's not a Christmas film. You've got to enjoy my Christmas film. It's just us trying to control the reality around us by ensuring that everyone shares the same opinion, which would be good. It's why we still vehemently beat the living shit out of anyone who says anything nasty about The Last Jedi, and it's right to do so. But
right to do so, yeah.
But we have to at least do so with a sense of irony, which is the only way in which I beat the living shit out of anyone.
Or do anything, in fact.
A couple of other good films I like to watch at Christmas, before I move on to some weirder shit, is the original Miracle on 34th Street. I couldn't really wrap that in, but I think that's a really charming Christmassy film with an interesting little court scene. You know, a courtroom drama kind of sewn into it.
Yeah.
But it's also funny and charming, and I really love the sequence at the beginning where this guy who believes he's the real Santa Claus gets a job as a mall Santa and proves to be just incredible at the whole thing, including being able to speak. I can't remember what language he speaks. I can only remember that Richard Attenborough in the remake does sign language. I can't remember what language it is in the original 1947 film, but he speaks a language in order to give a kid a happy Christmas message, and that's beautiful. And he does this thing of telling parents where they can buy all of the goods in the mall cheaper, and that ends up turning into a really good policy for the store, because everybody likes the honesty, and it becomes like a thing, and that's just cute and adorable.
Oh, cool. do you know what? You've just brought up a really strange memory.
Oh, yeah.
Strange or surprising, perhaps. I associate the remake of Miracle on 34th Street with playing the first Resident Evil on Christmas Eve.
How weird. I love that, but how strange.
I remember my family were watching it, and I was not, because fuck Christmas movies. I'm going to play Resident Evil, and it was a game that I found notoriously difficult, and I've never completed it.
No, it's very hard.
Because I was too scared as a teenager. I couldn't handle playing that game for too long. So I'd be occasionally just leaving the room and going into the living room with the fire going and the various bowls of chocolates and nuts on the table, and
a beautiful Christmas scene happening next door.
Yeah, everybody enjoying that, and me just failing, and really, I think doing the legwork to later develop hypothyroidism in that day, just overstimulating myself with constant zombies and death and one bullet. God, what a strange memory you've just dredged up there for me.
That's brilliant. I love it. I love that a lot. Another film I really like, I mentioned it earlier, Holiday Inn and White Christmas, very similar films. Bizarrely, Holiday Inn is the first film to feature the song White Christmas, which then they named the subsequent film as, two very sweet films. I only actually saw them for the first time last year, but I think they're going to become part of the tradition because they're both just well-meaning in that way that old musicals can be. And they're not technically musicals, I don't think, because there's no music in it that isn't diegetic. You know, it's about a performing band. Okay. But yeah, I mixed them up. Holiday Inn, I think, was the one where they buy an inn in a thinking it'll be a get-rich-quick scheme, but it then starts to be a big mistake, and so they decide to theme the shows that they're doing around holidays in order to try and get up interest. And White Christmas is about a bunch of old army dudes who go to the hotel, which is going badly, of their former commanding officer. And they decide they're going to do a big musical show in order to try and revamp interest. And there's love triangles and, you know, miscommunications and all the rest going on. It's just sweet and good music.
No, that's good.
And I don't know if this actually qualifies as television, but The Snowman and Father Christmas, two British animated films that are just lovely and are on every year. Snowman, weirdly melancholy, as everybody knows, with its famous sad song. But yeah, I watched those.
Jones.
Ella Jones. And the second one had another Welsh guy, Mel Smith. I don't think he's Welsh, actually. As Father Christmas, so no connection whatsoever. As Father Christmas. So, yeah, it was just... And that's about Father Christmas going on holiday after a particularly stressful year, which is very cute.
Okay.
Yeah, two really good little animated films. With us rapidly running out of time, there was a talking point I wanted to have, which is why Christmas movies tend to be poorly reviewed.
Yeah.
And does it actually matter? Because in addition to movies like Jingle All the Way, or similar, you know, objectively bad films that we still watch at Christmas just because we have those memories and we're chasing the nostalgia, even beloved classics like Love Actually or Home Alone, you are then surprised to learn have very poor ratings by critics and were not well received when they came out. So, what's going on
Love
there?
Actually was the other one, actually, that I made a note of, because I do... It's probably the film I associate most with Christmas. Or like, when I think of Christmas movies, because I saw it at Christmas, realised that actually I really liked it. And against all odds, because I sort of lumped it in with Notting Hill and Four Weddings, and as a teenager I couldn't stand the idea of that stuff. It turned out to be good and funny.
Yes, I do like it, and I do find it funny in places. I will say that for me, the problem with Love Actually is a lot of it is surprisingly miserable and also or creepy. The Laura Linney storyline always comes back to me when I think of that movie where she's about to have sex with a really attractive, you know, new guy in her life when she has to give up on that dream in order to go look after her disabled brother because carers can't have love lives. Like, that should have ended with, like, the hot guy coming with her to the place and, like, being really patient. You know, maybe meeting the brother and being like, hi, I'm going to be part of Laura Linney's life now. So, hello.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been nice.
No, that's true. It was you're right. It's pretty bleak in parts.
It can be very bleak. I mean, Emma Thompson just kind of she doesn't split up with Alan Rickman, does she? They just kind of accepts
that he's been a shit.
Yeah, this is a shitty part of our lives that I guess we're just going to accept and move on with. And the chick
Bill Nye's in it,
Bill Nye's in it, that's depressing, and it's just... And there's creepy stuff, there's Colin Firth... I don't know, I know it's meant to be a big romantic gesture, but Colin Firth showing up with all of that village to that girl's house, it just feels weird to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a weird thing to me.
I mean, the Andrew Lincoln resolution is so strange.
What I love about that is, what would he have done if it had gone down badly? Because he had all these cards.
Yeah.
Like, what if halfway through, instead of Keira Knightley just smiling with all of her teeth, what if she was just looking at him like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm married to your best friend.
I'm married to 12 years a slave. You know how tough it's going to be for him. What's wrong with you? Would he have just, like, flipped over the cards, and on the other side it's like, I'm so sorry, I stepped out of line.
It was a joke. Hashtag.
It was...
Not all men.
I'm filming this for my great YouTube channel.
You got punks.
Check it out.
Yeah. He'd have pulled up his trousers and shuffled away.
Which were down the entire time. That's what they don't do.
That's what you didn't see. It was implied by Bill Nye being in the film.
There was one other... Oh, yeah, that kid bringing Heathrow to a standstill. It's fucking... What you don't see after that moment with Liam Neeson is just SWAT teams swarming that area like moments after.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the fucking ground! We don't want any trouble. Get on the ground. My spine.
We're just
having part of Ireland.
We're just having a lovely Christmas moment. Live fire!
Get on the ground, Timmy. My name's not Timmy. You're Timmy now.
Don't give a shit.
You're all Timmy now.
And the SWAT team get on the ground. No, I like Love Actually. It's a very cheesy, corny kind of movie that has issues. But yeah.
But some real funny moments. And some really great performances.
Martin Freeman. Yeah, great performances, I think, is what really characterizes it. Hugh Grant's really fun in it.
That's it.
And
that's it. It's just a great ensemble piece, I think.
It is, yeah. But Too Many Stories, very much like a New Year. And it ruined cinema because it then led that fucking guy, what's his name, to
Barry Barlow
to make all the day movies. Yeah. So fuck that guy. I can't remember what we were talking about before Love Actually became our lives.
Poorly rated Christmas movies?
Yes, does it matter?
Nah, fuck them.
And why? I guess there's just different... I mentioned this to my mother, and she said, well, Christmas movies should be held to a different standard. And I think to some extent they are. Because people do look for something different. You know, the movie The Holiday, which came out a few years ago with Cameron Diaz and other people. I think Jude Law was one of them. Frightful.
Oh.
Has a really nice wintry aesthetic. It's set in a little cottage in the middle of the countryside with lots of snow and a beautiful fireplace, you know, and that may sound ridiculous, but that goes a long way to having that emotional connection with people. And I think it's why these Hallmark movies exist, none of which apparently are good. I think one of them would be.
I can believe that.
You think Law of Averages would mean they accidentally made one good. But nobody seems to agree that there is one.
Law of Averages applies to movies as a whole, not just one genre, clearly.
Yeah, I guess so. People just look for different stuff in their Christmas movies, but you know, it's not like it's that unusual for critically poorly reviewed films to actually be well liked. There've got to be people out there. No. There's got to be human beings out there who think to themselves, "I could do with watching all the Transformers this week." And,
oh yeah, for sure.
God, imagine.
There are going to be people out there. Just look at the state the world is in, and tell me that people haven't made that decision at some point in their lives.
And to some extent, I think once a film has become traditional and so well watched and overwatched that the kind of original criticisms change. I think one of the big problems with Home Alone, and I wonder how I would have reacted to it had I seen it for the first time as like a 30-year-old man. One of the criticisms was this movie is somewhat realistic, portraying the actual struggles of a young kid living on his own with a whimsical bent, but you know, menacing criminals. And then suddenly it becomes Bugs Bunny in its final act. And we take that for granted because we've just always known Home Alone. But there's no, like, rubber realism. There's no, like, rubber reality before one of them gets hit in the head with a brick and is fine. You know, they don't set that up early on, that might be a thing that happens. And so...
Is that not just a wonderful, wonderful twist?
Is it not? Is it not just an idea? Like, what if Skyfall... in its final act, suddenly was like with loads of sound effects and such. And he pushes a log down the stairs, and it flattens him, and he turns into like a flat 2D image and
like the Mask.
Yeah,
just like in the Mask. Now, I've just remembered how poorly reviewed Home Alone 2 is, Paul. So we are going to have to do this at some point.
That would be good. I would enjoy doing Home Alone 2, starring Donald Trump. Well, with that issue fully resolved, I want to talk about some of the weirder Christmas traditions. It's the last talking point. There's a couple of things that happen at Christmas.
Yeah.
One of which is that suddenly TV channels have a changed audience. They are no longer trying to exclusively draw the attention of grandmothers who want to see how much stuff in their attic might be worth. And or see people failing to pay and therefore it gets taken away. Instead, what they want to get in are the families. The dads who are at home and hate their kids.
Yeah.
The kids who are at home and hate their dads.
Yeah.
And they all just want to be staring at a TV and, for the love of Christ, not talking to each other. So, with all that airtime, what do you put on? Can you put on family films? Often those are quite tied up in rights and such. Yep. But you can. There's some out there. But also, you need stuff that's just going to try and draw in the whole family.
Yes.
And here are some categories that falls into. First of all, blockbusters.
Mm-hmm.
And I very much associate movies like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park, you know, just family-friendly blockbusters you can put on, you know, with no wintry settings at all, really. There's a bit of snow in Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, but there's not much in the way of winter. But it's something you can put on at like 4 o'clock on ITV2.
Yeah, And everyone goes, hooray, I'm familiar with this. Thank God for familiarity.
There's a Bond film on. Fantastic. We can just watch that and know exactly what to expect, unless it's Skyfall, which is very subversive. Or that one where he kills a terrorist, kills a drug dealer by putting him in a massive oven. God damn it, Dalton.
Don't make us think. Just give us the old style slapping women one.
On The Last Jedi.
Oh.
Worst Bond film.
Shouldn't have brought Lazenby back.
So yeah, blockbusters tend to go on. War movies, I find, tend to be on a lot. There's a stereotype of The Great Escape being always on at Christmas, but I never see it. I never see The Great Escape on, but movies like Guns of the Navarone, Bridge Over the River Kwai, or The Dirty Dozen, those are often shown sort of during daytime British programming at Christmas, and so yeah, I think of Guns of the Navarone as a Christmas film.
I think they're on every Sunday around the world.
There is that. It's just that you're more likely to notice at Christmas because you've got fuck all else going on.
Yeah, because usually you're employed.
God, it's horrible. Fantasy movies. In particular, the Harry Potter films. And Jason and the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans. I always see those two on. The old claymation.
Yeah. I think I saw Argonauts at Christmas once.
I love that. I do associate the idea of an epic Greek adventure with Christmas now, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, just like at home.
And that's it for stuff that gets shown during the day, but the only other genre I'd like to point out is Christmas horror movies, of which there are some.
Yes.
Krampus.
Yep.
Is excellent. Modern-day Gremlins. Rare Exports is great fun. It kind of takes the Christmas mythos and, turns it on itself. And has great fun in doing so. It's an enjoyably dark interpretation of the Christmas mythos.
Yeah.
Slasher movies. Black Christmas is a legitimate argument for one of the first slasher movies and is brilliant. Really atmospheric, creepy, and unsettling. Pre-Halloween and just does a lot of that stuff really well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Post-Halloween, you've got the utter cheese fest that is Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is about a guy who suddenly becomes terrified of Santa Claus and goes around dressed as one. He has a traumatizing incident involving a Santa Claus as a kid, and he grows up and ends up dressing as Santa Claus, going around killing people, including throwing a woman onto a pair of wall-mounted antlers, which then pierce through her chest, which is great. I think that might be Linnea Quigley, actually. And some sort of famous nudie woman from horror movies. Linnea Quigley might have been too young at the time. So that's great fun. And finally, I want to talk about a little short-run British tradition, which has recently been revamped. But in the 1970s, every year, they would release a ghost story for Christmas on the BBC. Most of these were directed by...
Dissidents.
Lawrence Gordon Clark. He directed the bulk of them, and most of them are based on ghost stories by the British writer M.R. James. It started with an episode of Omnibus called Whistle and I'll Come to You, a very menacing story about a man who's taking a walking holiday in England on the coast and happens upon a whistle. He blows on the whistle cheerfully and then finds that he is being followed in his dreams by some sort of menacing presence. Most of M.R. James's stories are about one of the films is called A Warning for the Curious, and that's pretty much how these are. It's warning to the curious. Yeah. People muddle into dangerous situations and then find that their curiosity is somehow going to punish them.
They're like the British public service announcements, also from the 70s. Timmy wanted to play on the trains.
Now he's being raped by a serial killer. Serves you right, Timmy. It's that kind of deal. It's you got movies like some of them are set in the past, like The Stalls of Barchester is about Richard from Keeping Up Appearances, who
Timmy wanted to take the stool of a man, a real man.
Now he's being raped by a serial killer. Serves you right, Timmy. Every time.
Poor Timmy.
Poor Timmy. It's not fair. The Stalls of Barchester is about a haunted chair inside of a church, which drives the minister mad. And my favourite one, I think, The Ash Tree is really good, which is about a creepy tree which has connections to witchcraft imagery. But the one of them is called The Treasure of Abbot Thomas.
Okay.
And that's a very spooky one. It's about a skeptic, a scholar of medieval history, who suddenly discovers that there's a treasure hidden about the the university at which he is based, and he uncovers it, and is then pursued from the place of its uncovering by a horrific slime monster that you don't really get to see, you just get to feel.
Okay.
It's very textural, the portrayal of this thing, and very much done in terms of sound.
Yeah.
And it proceeds to visit him in his chambers until he sort of returns it. But there's a little bit of a deception in the end, and it ends on one of the genuine, just creepiest images I think I've ever seen. Just it really it just sends a chill up me.
Oh,
it's
wow.
an unsettling kind of horror. So that's The Treasure of Abbot Thomas. It's part of Ghost Stories for Christmas, BBC, and yeah, I love it. I watch it every year. That's it from me. Do you have any other Christmas movies you'd like to mention? Or non-Christmas movies that you watch at Christmas?
No, the thing is, it just... I can't predict what I'm going to watch. I don't really have set movies that I go to at Christmas. If something will be on, or maybe if I'm around parents and they've suddenly got they've got a new movie that I really wanted to watch, then I'll watch that. And yeah, it just depends on what's around. I genuinely don't go back to the same things. Like last year, I think Nell and I just watched The Witcher because it had come out, which wasn't a great choice because it's not a very good series. I don't care what anyone says, but it's weird. I suppose my memories of Christmas movie traditions, or just Christmas movie traditions in general, are muddier now because it's been so many years of just doing whatever.
Yeah. One thing I do find hard to do at Christmas is find new stuff or watch new stuff. So whenever a movie comes out and it's like, you've got to see this, I'm like, oh, can it wait till January? Because usually January is reserved for, catching up on all the Oscar movies anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm usually fairly happy to wait until then. But yeah, it's difficult for me to watch new stuff around Christmas. I like to think of it as a time of closing off rather than, even though I often make my end of year list around that time.
That's interesting. It definitely is that for me in a lot of respects. Like, an end of a year and figuring out what's going to happen next and reassessing, and you get that cry out of the way. That really, really good cry. But whenever I revisit things, it's very off the cuff, so it just makes sense that at Christmas it's the same. It might be I'll be at home and we'll have a DVD of Nightmare Before Christmas or Die Hard or something, and then you go, oh, why not? Or a DVD of that Mickey Flanagan stand-up with that one joke on it that everyone loves.
Love it.
Yeah.
Ow.
Oh, brilliant. Classic. Garlic bread.
Classic.
But I like Mickey Flanagan. He's funny. But
yeah, he's good.
It's the traditions in Christmas don't run so deep for me. So it's yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's what a mess my life is.
Yeah. What a horrible mess you are. But you know who's not a horrible, disgusting mess that should be put out of its misery is the OG team.
Oh, I love those guys. The ho GT team. Oh
team.
Oh, all right. Well, Blockbusters podcast said growing up, we've got Jingle All the Way. It's the classic movie starring Sinbad, Jurassic Park, and The Great Escape.
I'm so glad to hear Jurassic Park mentioned.
Yeah.
I agree. I watched it at Christmas.
Now, the Santa Claus, and whatever my daughter wants.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a legitimate concern.
That does seem to be the case with all of my friends with kids. When you say, have you seen the latest thing? No.
No, never. Do you mean my kid? Do you mean the latest horrible thing it did to my living room? Yeah, I saw it.
I was there.
Saw it, felt it, fell in it.
I lived it. Oh, great. I give it 3 stars.
No, one of the better ones.
Victor Gamboa, treasured patron, said, every Christmas Eve for the last 7 years, I would invite family and friends over to watch Die Hard and eat freshly made tamales.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. What a fucking Christmas. Love that.
Doing it right. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it when a festive snack gets involved as well.
Yeah.
We, Jesus Christ, it might sound like the most tragic thing in the world, but it genuinely is quite special to me, is that every year we do a festive jigsaw. In the run-up to Christmas. And often a lot of the movies I've discussed will be put on in the background. I remember the year that The Long Good, whatever it was, was put on.
Good Long Kiss.
I don't know why I can't remember the name of that fucking thing. It's ridiculous. But, yeah, and there's always a big thing of butter biscuits,
Oof.
Danish butter cookies gets passed around, and I fucking love those. And it's only ever at Christmas. And that's part of that thing. Again, you make it special by only doing it at one time a year. You have pancakes every day. That would make Pancake Fucking Day less special.
Yeah, you can't. You try and fuck with the thing you've been eating every day for a year. You're not.
Yeah.
Not always going to do it. No.
I don't care how. Don't care how citrusy my knob is. I'm not into it.
You can't get double citrus, so it has to stop somewhere. The fuck has to stop somewhere.
The fuck stops here.
Speaking of, Victor Gambler continues. I also like watching Richard Stanley's Hardware, which takes place on Christmas Eve. Then it's a tie between Christmas Vacation and Jingle All the Way. Have you seen Hardware, Paul?
Well, I know of Richard Stanley, of course, and recently we had that Colour Out of Space, which was his big comeback movie, but I haven't seen, and I know of his famous breakdown on the set of the Island of Dr. Moreau, but I haven't actually seen Hardware, I'm afraid.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, that would be an interesting one to check out, a grisly Christmassy film.
Thanks for that, Victor. Cinematic Adventures.
Yeah.
Says National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Christmas in Connecticut.
Good stuff. Oh, I haven't seen it. That's one of the big ones. That and, what's the film that Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is from? Meet Me in St. Louis.
Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
I haven't seen Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Starring Mark Wahlberg and John Cena.
It's fucking hilarious, mate. But yeah, meaning to see that one.
The Bishop's Wife, Home Alone, Jingle All the Way, A Christmas Story.
Oh! Ooh.
And Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. No.
How absolute dare you. It completely is for the aforementioned reasons. Christmas Story, that's one of those ones I haven't seen. Very American. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Very American sort of thing. Well, it seems like somebody's stuck in a 90s office.
Time for me to go and fix the bloody photocopier.
Paul, you're meant to be spending time with the podcast. I can't, I'm such a business guy. You're not here.
Okay.
What the fuck?
It's our doorbell, postman.
Oh, right.
He just wanted to say hi.
Oh, he didn't have any post today. Nothing today, folks. God, Australia's great. But also, fuck off.
So have you got any lemons? So...
It's a fuck something.
Did you finish the point, or...? No, I can't remember.
Yeah, sure, mate. Yes. I want to introduce that into more conversation. Was that the end of that?
Yeah, God, it become a catchphrase only because it's just what I think every 7 minutes of the podcast.
Yes.
Thanks, Dan. Crampflix and Chill said, we watch Home Alone and drink a pint of Old Rosie every time we would... A pint of Old Rosie? Jesus. That's a strong farmhouse cider for everybody else around the world. That is a cider you have to chew. We drink a pint of Old Rosie every time we think the wet bandits would have been killed by one of Kevin's traps. Needless to say, we're steaming by the end. I should think so. But if you could drink more than 5 pints of Old Rosie and still have teeth, I would be scared of you. And maybe I still am.
And a grip on reality.
Yeah.
It's a pretty dull first, hour and 15 minutes of this drinking game, though.
Yeah.
Just there with the pints, oh no.
You're not even allowed to sip. You're just letting that pint of Old Rosie warm up nicely in your palm.
When it's at its most powerful. Yeah. No, it's the bit where he goes, shit. It's a long way off, guys.
But kudos to you. Katie writes about... Katie.
Does she?
Your friend and mine. Said, just go ahead and watch any Hallmark movie. Yeah. And I'm not going to...
We should at some point cover a Hallmark movie. I mean, my main interaction with the Hallmark movies is that Jenny Nicholson will every so often review one. Actually, it was the Netflix Christmas movie she reviewed last year. That I think the Cinema Snob has reviewed a couple. Okay. And I have quite warm affiliations with that. And of course, you have the legendary McElroy Hallmark movie bit, which is just one of the funniest bits they've done.
Don't remember that.
Oh, it's so good when they just list off the Christmas movies.
Oh, okay.
It's really funny.
I'll have to maybe give that a listen then. I'm never going to. I don't listen to other podcasts anymore.
There's also That Sounds Like a Christmas to Me, which was a round that Justin invented, in which he gives 3 plot synopses, one of which he's made up for Hallmark Christmas movies.
Oh, okay.
Also very funny.
Let's steal that.
Yeah!
Christopher Bond said Robbie the Reindeer, which looks like an Aardman animation.
Yes, I'm aware of Robbie the Reindeer. I don't think I've seen it.
Cool.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for it.
Do you like me an Aardman?
Oh, I love an Aardman. That's something we didn't mention, is they always show the Aardmans at Christmas. They show the Wallace and Gromit, and it's...
Yeah, but were they TV, and is that stuff...
That's true.
You don't get to listen. This is for the patrons.
You're not going to hear it.
Unhear that.
Get it out your head right this second.
Go on. We'll wait. Actually, we won't.
We need you to edit this in your brains. That way everyone gets
Quick.
to be happy, and we get to sleep.
Drink a pint of Old Rosie.
For every time
it'll be
we
fine.
get meta.
The Grinch, original animated.
Oh,
And
yeah, beautiful. Yes, fair enough.
Definitely.
That's a good distinction to make.
And The Little Crooked Christmas Tree.
God, I haven't heard of that. I assume it's a sequel to The Christmas Tree.
The Christmas Tree, the best Christmas film of all time.
In which Mrs. Mavelda comes back and has more lines. Because they got the voice actress back into the booth.
Because now she's cooking with Gap. Chris Attaway said, "Call me a basic bitch, you basic bitch, but I really enjoy watching Die Hard every Christmas. Fingers with your toes." Yeah, you're a favourite, Chris.
You're the best one.
All the others who said the opposite.
Better than anyone else. Even the ones who said the same, you're better than them. You said it better.
You're better than me. Then Blokebusters disagreed with this, and then I was rude to Blokebusters. And but then he said, if the core theme of the film is not centered around Christmas, it's not an Xmas film. But it is, because we just said it was. We said it was earlier, and we're really fucking eloquent about it. So
at the very least, it's using it as a sort of source of frisson of excitement there in terms of contradictory aesthetics. So there you go.
Exactly. So there you go, what he just said. And then Elliot Joe O'Neill said, I might be biased, but... Oh, okay. It took me... It showed a picture of animated deer, and I had to click on it to reveal that the name of the film is Elliot.
Yes.
So
I wondered about that too. I was like, why biased? Did you make a Christmas movie?
Tell us about the Christmas movie you made, Elliot. Moving over to Facebook. Jen Blundell says, the two Christmas films I would choose to rewatch every year are Elf and Die Hard. Oh, weird, Die Hard.
Yeah, I got to be there when Jen first saw Die Hard for the very first time at a Prince Charles cinema, so the audience, were relatively sober, which was a very pleasant surprise for everyone involved. Including
them and Bruce Willis. He got a memo.
I did wonder if I tried to check out her expression. It was tricky because of the distance away from me that she was sat. She introduced social distancing way before it became popular, everyone. I don't think I've seen her in months. Years even. That would have been funnier. But on the line, I shot a kid. I tried to get eye contact, just be like, huh? McElroy's. And I did listen a couple of chuckles from McElroy fans, I assume, on that line.
It's funny anyway, with or without McElroy's. Yeah.
I shot a kid. Brilliant.
The first is funny, charming and highly quotable. The second is also funny, charming and highly quotable, but with more fun deaths. The only awful Christmas film I think I've seen, I tend to just avoid them, is Christmas with the Cranks. Yeah. To be fair, I mostly remember the cinema experience rather than the film. A bunch of small, smelly children kept running around and sticking their faces between our seats and our butts. And I was too young to feel the authority to tell their parents off.
You got to grow that mustache.
You have to have at least a mustache.
Get that authority going. To be fair, though, it sounds like that distraction would have been welcome. I'd have appreciated it.
Yeah, fuck me, you might not have picked up on some of the nuance
of James Patterson's
in the film. As a side note, last night I rewatched the Christmas episode of The Vicar of Dibley when Alice gives birth, and I had forgotten how laugh out loud it actually was. I think TV does some of the best Christmases on screen, but we're not talking about that.
No.
Don't feel like you have to read all this out. Oh.
I didn't know she had seen the second Die Hard. I am heartbroken.
What? The second Die Hard?
I thought you said the second one is more fun, but with more fun deaths.
The first meaning the former, meaning Elf, and the second.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Okay, right. That was so confusing. Yeah, the deaths in Elf.
Fuck's sake, Jen.
The deaths in Elves. The deaths in Elves. I can't speak anymore. This has gone too far. We've been talking for a long time, everyone.
Let's move on. Are you finished that point?
Fuck you. Yes.
Ellen Graham said, "You cheeky pools have been misbehaving, and thus in your stocking you get an Ellen essay. Good, an hour and 40 record time. And Nightmare Before Christmas, animation that gets to be wonderfully spooky and strange, but makes all the sad goth kids feel celebrated. Plus, I get to enjoy my real favourite holiday under the guise of being Christmassy. Yeah. Not to mention the music. The only elf I want on my shelf is Danny Elfman.
Yeah, he's great. It's a wonderful sounding film as well.
Yes, it's true. Little girls, all of it.
That famous song from that movie. God, he's wrong. He's a horrible man. Never forget that.
Should we don't, Elfman? Gremlins. We got puppets. We got horrible murder. We got wacky shenanigans, and we have Phoebe Cates' dad falling to death down the chimney.
I love that, and I love the fact that they parody that speech in the second one.
Oh,
she starts talking about some sort of horrible thing that happened with the Easter Bunny. It's it's very funny. The second one is very funny. It's underseen.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah.
Last Christmas, didn't expect to love this one. The story is cliche and sugary sweet, but the actors commit hard, and I love a fuck up gone good story.
Fuck up gone good story. As opposed to a fuck up gone good story.
I don't know anymore.
I haven't seen Last Christmas. I know it's got Daenerys Stormborn, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons.
Oh, great.
King of the Andals and the First Men in it. So I'll be curious.
Khaleesi.
I'll be curious to see it for that reason.
Curiously. No.
I can't believe it ends
Love
with,
Actually is depressing as fuck. And are you done with that point?
No, I had another Game of Thrones joke in it.
We're going to hit a 2 hour. I haven't got time to edit a 2 hour episode.
Fine, move on.
No, make it. Go on.
No, it's done. You get the idea. Maybe the love interest stabs her at the end. You know, it's great.
Oh, yeah, cool.
I don't know.
Oh, like in Game of Thrones.
Like in Game of Thrones.
Oh, fuck. Love Actually is depressing as fuck, and I'm not here for it. Emma Thompson and Laurie Linney just get emotionally eviscerated, and I'm not that cruel to watch them suffer.
Yeah.
Mary Palmas and a Goodman for all.
I agree. Oh. It's really a bummer. Gonna work salt in there somewhere?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Finally, Alison Blundell.
Wait, you mean Jen Blundell?
Jen's mum.
What? Jen has a mum?
Jennison Blundell. Yeah. She made us all pancakes. There's a wonderful dog. She made me pancakes despite my various dietary restrictions. And they were delicious.
She insisted. You kept explaining it. She just said, no, get it down. And that's right. She made us a wonderful hot pot.
Yeah. She did. It was fantastic.
Very good.
Yeah, to clarify, she made me special allergen-free pancakes, not just force-fed me extra creamy pancakes.
And then sent him off to Sarah's house in order for the results to be her problem.
And told Sarah to lock me in the toilet when I shat myself inside out for 3 days. Anyway, thanks for getting in touch, Jen's mum. She said...
I hope Jen's playing this too, her mum.
What a wonderful woman you are, and see what a disaster you avoided through your conscientiousness. For me, it's got to be The King and I or Dr. Zhivago. Without fail, I can happily spend an afternoon drinking tea and bawling my eyes out at the end of each film.
That's exactly it. It's movies to like have on in the afternoon, and other Christmassy things will be going on. Maybe you need to wrap some presents or write some cards. But then a good epic movie like Dr. Zhivago, you can just come out of it again, and it's just going throughout the day. And you really feel like you've kind of shared the day with it at the end. It's Zhivago is generally seen as a slightly weaker Lean, but I don't think so. I think it's kind of like the Interstellar of David Lean's films. It's
okay.
Yeah, and Ryan's daughter is his Tenet. It's the more emotionally focused one, is Dr. Zhivago, in as much as it's just about this one relationship and everything else is like the backdrop.
Yeah, cool.
I'm sorry, Jen's mum, if this has been played to you, but I can only think of things in terms of Christopher Nolan movies. It's a real problem. I've been seeking help. But,
I feel for Jen's mum, that will help a few jigsaw pieces slot into place.
Do a jigsaw whilst watching Dr. Zhivago. It's great. And watch these people try and piece their lives together after the horrors of World War, I want to say 2.
3?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. I would love to do a jigsaw and watch a classic movie.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Let's all do that. I'm going to go and do that right now. But before that, I want to thank the OG team.
Thanks, OG
mostly
team.
Jen's mum. Thanks, Alison Blundell.
The one better thing is Halloween. It's about a holiday. So, let's... I don't know, are there any other segments? Are you done with that point?
I think I am, you know.
Great. Thanks for listening, everyone. Paul, how can people find out more about all of this that's happened?
They can get on to OG Team. Nope.
Get on to themselves.
OGT Pod. They can.
Fuck right off.
Yeah. Christmas pun, piss off. Get on to Ho 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 GT Pod at Twitter and Facebook. And they can follow us on Patreon Ho Ho Hon for as little as $1 a moho humph. And we're on Spoho Hotify.
I think I'm dying. I think this is what slipping out of existence.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It's not going towards the light and feeling happiness. It's unbearable vamping from a tired man. It clearly isn't going anywhere, and after a while, it became intentionally, ironically shit. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
And you know
Thanks
what?
For this.
We'll say this in a few weeks, but have a good Christmas.
Yeah.
And a Happy New Year.
Have
I'm
a
actually
good
not going to be
Christmas
around
period.
for the next few weeks.
I need a break. I need a split from this. I just need a bit of time.
Yeah.
I'm Paul. Just give me my own space.
I'm Poho Goodman.
And remember, the one good thing about December is that you get to watch just a few of the things that maybe you had to put away when you became a person. I went to go say man, but then I wanted it to be non-gender specific, so I said person, but kids are people too. And that's really the one great thing about Christmas, is that kids are actually people too.